Hello everyone. So I wanted to make this video for a long time, but yeah, so I think now is the right time to make this video. So this is basically I wanna go through the basic Python, very basics, dealing with strings, lists, dictionaries, and tuples, etc. So this is because in my channel I want to put some of my project videos. So when I do that, I want to go into in-depth Python code. So I think it's imperative for me to explain the basic Python in my channel. So here we go. So I'm going to do that. I will start with strings, and then slowly I'll go into lists, dictionaries, tuples, etc., and then loops and things like that. So okay, so as you can see here, I'm using the Jupyter Notebook to run my Python code. So basically, Jupyter Notebook is very convenient. It is, it's basically a lot of cells here, as you can see. So what you can do here is you can just run codes. So 1 plus 1, and then basically you press Shift and then press Enter, so you get the output 2. So it's basically a neat way of representing Python codes in this cell format. So basically you can even delete the cells and then press Shift Enter, and then that's gone. Or if I write a lot of codes, and then something something. So here, um, or here maybe. So this is you can see there's an output here. So you can basically do a lot of these things here. And so I will explain when you see me write Python code step by step. You can see the beauty of this. So let's just delete. To delete the cell, you just use this scissors symbol. So just press that, press that, press that. It's gone. Again, one more, and it's gone. So it's very uh, user-friendly way of representing Python. And all the data scientists and data professionals use Jupyter Notebook. So okay, so right, so let's just jump into the topic here. So I will start with basic Python. So I'll go through strings, lists, tuples, dictionary, and sets, etc. And then I will even go into if, while loop, for loop, and all those things. And let's see where I can go. Okay, so let's start with strings here. So what are strings? So strings are basically you know characters, right? You're writing characters in inside the code. So for example, let's define a variable here. My str is equal to let's say data science academy. Okay, and then just press Shift Enter. And so in this variable you have the string. So this is string is basically list of characters inside the quotes. Okay, so if I write my.str and then Shift Enter, you can see Data Science Academy that's being printed out. So that's stored inside the variable my.str. And it's not necessary that you need to use double quotes. You can even use single quotes, and I can use the same thing, Data Science Academy, and then Shift Enter, and then my.str. You can see Data Science Academy, again, the same thing. So single quotes, double quotes, it doesn't matter. So you should not have a misconception that strings should be just letters, right? Alphabets. It can be anything. So all this is considered a string. Okay, so my.str is that. Okay, so strings are basically a list of characters inside the quotes. Now, the fundamental thing that you can do with this is accessing elements inside the string. So my.str, and then so let me just as you can see here, I have written this you know square brackets, and inside that let's just plug in 0 and then do Shift Enter. So what's the output here? The output is A. So it's basically giving me the first element inside the string. So A is being given out. Okay, So in this way, you can access all the elements. So mystr of let's say 2 will give me basically, okay, let me just start with 1. So A, and then after that L, so L is here. The same thing, mystr of 4 is AND. So as you can see here, when I press 0, when I put in 0 and then do shift enter, it's giving me the first character A, right? So basically in Python, the indexing starts with 0 rather than 1, okay? So 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. 4 is AND, that's why mystr4 is AND, okay? So that's how you access elements inside the mystr, inside the strings. And the other thing is, important thing is that strings are immutable, okay? So strings are immutable. Okay, so I forgot to tell you that what I'm doing here is, you see this is, so if I remove the hash and then do shift enter, we'll say this is an invalid input, right? Okay, so basically what you do is you just put a hash in front of whatever is it that you want to write. This is just for our own understanding. Okay, so this is not a code. So when you put a hash, Python knows that, okay, this is not a code. It's not something which needs to be executed. It's just something which, the user has written for, it's just a text for the user to understand. Okay. So this is commenting in Python. So you basically put a hash in front. Okay, so right. So strings are immutable. So what do I mean by immutable? So mystr, let's access the 0th element, and let's say let's say I'm saying this is t. Okay, so I'm assigning mystr of 0, mystr0 to t, and then if I do shift enter, see, string object does not support item assignment. So what's happening here is that strings are immutable, right? Strings are immutable. So mystr will always remain the same. You cannot tamper with the elements inside that, okay? Of course, you can create a new element. You can create a new string with, basically the first element being changed to t and then rest of the elements same, but that you can do it. But mystr will always be this one, okay? You cannot change that. So that's immutability. And maybe even before explaining all this, I could have it explained something like, variables in general, right? So my var is equal to 10. So okay, 10 is just a number. So my var is basically a variable here, and 10 is being assigned to this, okay? So you can even check. So that's what is happening even in all these codes here. So mystr is basically a string, and then it's being given this variable name mystr. So now Python will know that mystr is a string, and so I'm using the variable to access elements inside the string. So this is basically variable assignment, right? And you can even check the myvar ID of that. So you can see here some number being printed out, 219631 something something. So basically, in this particular location, in this particular memory location, so my var has this particular ID or this number associated with it, and if I create, let's say, some other name, my num is equal to 11, and then if I do ID of my num, shift enter. Okay, so let me just print out. So print. Okay, print statement is to print out whatever you want to print it out, right? So this time I'm going to print both of them. So shift enter. As you can see here, these numbers are different, right? 219631 something something, and this is 3840, this is 3808. So these are different, right? So two variables with two memory location, okay? Okay, so I have re-executed the code, so you can see two different numbers shown here. corresponding to myvar and mynum. So let me demonstrate another thing here. So if I use my var to point to 11, let's see what happens to the memory. So prints id of my var. If you just print it out, you can see here these two numbers are the same, right? So the id of mynum and myvar are the same this time. Why? This is because mynum and myvar are pointing to the same object, same number 11, so they have the same id. But initially myvar was pointing to 10, which had a different location. So 10 was in this particular, has this location or this id, and myvar was pointing to that. And then later we changed it to 11, so it's when you print the id of that, it has a new number, right? It's the same as the case if you use mynum. So mynum is pointing to 11, so if you use mynum to point to, let's say, 10, right? And then you print it out, print of id of my num, you just print it out. You can see here again, mynum has the same location as the first one, right? Because initially myvar was pointing to 10, so it has this address, and then later we are using mynum to point to 10. So if you print the id of mynum, it has the same number or the same id. So basically, it doesn't matter what name that you use to point to an object here, but if it's pointing to the same object, it will have the same id, but it doesn't matter what name you're using. So that's the whole point of demonstrating this. And also maybe I can explain a little bit about how you can name variables. So definitely you can use characters to as variables to point to objects such as, or else the numbers here. Of course you can use these. Of course you need to make it much more understandable. So for example, str or string to point to some kind of a string, right? You won't use str, because if you use str, you can see here it is colored, right? It's not black. So if I use string, then it's black, but str is red in color, because we use str to change one data type into another. So here, to change it into a string. So let me just change this to string. So that's a variable indicating to this particular string. And str, let me use str of 1. So let's see what is the output here. So you can see the output is a string inside which you have 1. So our 1 initially was the number 1, right? Which is an integer, right? So int1, so that means it's an integer, right? You can even check the type, right? See, type of 1. So you don't need to put int, but just type of 1 is integer, right? And then type of let's say inside the quotes 1 shift enter, it's a string, right? So you can see here by using type, you can access the type of whatever object that is that you're putting into the brackets here. So here basically str converts the number 1 into a string. Well, you can convert a lot of things into a string when we go later into other objects like lists. You can even convert that into strings, etc. So basically it's used for converting anything into string. Okay. So because of that, you won't assign it as a variable name. So for example, if you say apple, okay, it's a string, you're saying str is equal to apple, and then next instant you're using str of, let's say, 23, you do this, will show an error because you will see that it's a type error. str object is not callable. So because str is now it's a string, right? It's no more a function which can be used to change a data type into another data type, here in this case into a string, right? Because I have used str to, because now str has become a variable name, and so later on when you use str of something, it will output an error. So that's why in Python you are not supposed to use function names to assign function names as a variable. Okay, so you're not supposed to do that. Okay, so it should be string or string1, etc. Okay, so of course you cannot have a space and 1. This will output again an error, right? Ideally you can put this underscore and then 1, so indicating that it's a string1, this is a string, that you can do it. And then, or maybe you wanna just string1, this also works. Okay, this also works. Other ways of writing variables is, of course, you can do this. This is possible, but you won't start with numbers. So this is going to be a trouble, right? Because you are not supposed to start with a number, and then you cannot use this as a variable, right? But of course it can come later on. This is okay. #1 var is good. And of course you cannot use characters like this to define variables. That's going to give errors here. So you cannot do that. And of course if you use hash, then it becomes a comment. So definitely to create a variable name, you can use characters like this, preferably alphabets or anything, but you should make sure that it's not a function name or anything like that, and you're not starting with numbers or special characters, right? But let's see, this one is again this is also giving me an error. So but if I use it here, again it's giving me an error. So let's try. Of course I mean you have to, ideally when you use a variable name, it is meaningful, right? So you can write things like this, #1 or things like this, okay, at any time if you get an error, that means Python is not allowing you to use that name. Okay, so that's all for variables here. So strings, so we were talking about strings. Strings are immutable. Now let's do something because you have seen me access elements in a string. Now how about if I want to access a lot of them, for example all of them? If I want all of them printed out, what will I do? So let me just take this, just copy it, then paste it here, and then shift enter, and then mystr. So basically to access a substring of this particular string, so what you can do is you have to put the initial index. For example, let me start from 0. Okay, so 0 and till, let's say 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, I need to print till this and, right? I have to print all of them. Oops, okay, I messed it up. Okay, A, it's B, C, and AND. Okay, so A, B, C, and if I need to print that out, so that's 0 1 2 3. So I will say 0 till 4. Okay, you will see why I put 4 instead of 3. When I do shift enter, you can see that okay, I have to do once again, and then yeah, this is correct. So because mystr before, I think the Python was interpreting mystr to be this one, and now I have again run it, so now it's being pointing to this particular string, and so 0 till 4 it's ABC and AND, right? So if I had put 3 instead, it will show ABC. Why is that so? That's because the indexing starts from 0, right? 0, 1, 2, and then basically this means that, you know, the last one is not included, or you know, 3 indicates that you have to access 0, 1 and 2. So basically if you want to access let's say AND, then you will put 4. Okay, 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So AND is 3, so that means you will put 4, so the one above that. So that's how you access elements here. Okay, so that's how you access elements. And let's say I want to access mystr, you know, everything. So you can okay, to, you know, access everything, you just have to do this, or maybe 0 and the rest, right? So you start from 0 and you don't put the final stop position, right? Stop index, you don't put that. Then Python will just print out everything. Maybe you can start from some other position, let's say 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we'll start from AND. So AND and the rest of it. Or maybe you wanna 3, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. So till, if you want to print till 7, you will put 8, and so AND LP, and then upper, and then okay, whatever be this, and then bracket, and then yeah. So yeah, so this is how you access elements. And another cool property of you know, this kind of iterable, so it's called an iterable. It's a string basically, but it's an iterable. So I will explain what's an iterable later on. So you can put a start position and an end position, and then there's something also called as, there's another thing called as a step. So step is basically you know, if I put 1, the answer is the same, right? But if I do 2, then what's happening here is that and then it's skipping L and then printing P, and then skipping this one and then printing this bracket, right? So what's happening here is that it's printing every second one, every second element. So 0, 1, and then second, and then 1, and then second. So it's basically skipping 1, right? It's stepping 2, right? So 1 and then 2, it's printing the second one, right? So maybe I can even do 3. So and then 1, 2, and then third one, you know, third one is being printed here. So that's start, stop, and then step, right? That's how you access you know, substrings. Even I can access elements in the reverse order. So what do I mean by that? So mystr, if I want to print the last character here, so what I will do is of course you cannot count the number of characters here. So basically there's a trick in Python which is basically put -1 and then shift enter, it will give B, right? So that's the last character here, so -1. So of course then you can guess that mystr -2 will give me J, which is the second last one. And now you can even deduce that, you know, to access a lot of them from in the reverse order. So you will start from -1 and then, you know, -2, -3, -4, -5, so -6, and then shift enter. Of course it will give an empty string, because now you have to also tell Python that you are going in the negative direction, and then it will give me the output. So B, J, K, H, J, right? So start is -1, stop is -6, and then -1 indicates that you are going backwards. of course you can go 2 steps backwards, and so B K J, so B, and then 1 2, so K, and then 1 2, so J. So you can go 2 steps, or maybe 3 steps, or 4 steps, or whatever you prefer to go, right? Yeah, so you can keep going like that. So this is for going backwards. So you start with the end, and then the stop, and then the step. Okay, so that's how you access elements in strings. Okay, so also one more thing I want to show you is mystr. Let's start with 0, and then you're not giving the stop position, and you're just giving the step. In this case, what happens is that it will run the entire string. Okay, so it's basically, as I explained before, if you just do this, it will print the entire thing, right? But this time you want to put the step, so 2. So start from 0 till the end, and then step of 2, right? So we'll give that corresponding substring. Okay, so that's good. Now, next topic about string is how to find elements in string, right? How do I find elements in a string? So let me define mystr to be mystr to be data science academy, and then mystr. Okay, so to find a word or a character in a string, what you do is .find, and then what you do is you will input the string that you want to find. For example, let me say A, and then it will give me the index of the first occurrence of that character. So for example, A here, which is what I have given here, A is here, A is here, and then there's 2 more A's here. So Python will give me the first one, right? The first occurrence of A is what the index of that, will give me the index of that. Now I can even find a word, for example, ATA or data. Start with data. So that means it's starting from 0. At 0, from 0 you have this data here, right? In the Data Science Academy, data is there starting from the index 0. You can even find ATA. So it starts from 1. What happens if I find something, if I want to find something which is not there? It will show me -1. That means it's not there in the string. Okay. Of course, -1, when I explained previously, -1 was to access the last character, you put -1, but this -1 does not mean that it's at the end. It just means that it's not there. Okay, so for example, just to show you, mystr.find 78. Okay, of course it's you cannot find a string. I mean, you cannot find an integer. It has to be a string. Again, -1. So that means it's not there in the string. Okay, so that's how you find elements in a string. And so what else can we do with strings? So we can do mystr dot find. Okay, so in this particular string, we know that A is here and A is also here, which is at the index 0 1 2 3. So if you want to find A above 1, right? So you want to access A, but its index should be not at 1. So I will say find about the index 2, or starting from index 2, then it will give me the output 3, right? So that means it's giving me the next instance of a starting from 2. So 0 1 2 starting from t. When is the first a happening in the string? So that's happening here, right, at 3. So that's what is giving me the output of 3. So mystr dot find and a, and let's say it starts from um okay, I don't want to count everything. Okay, 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Okay, so starting from 12, can you tell me? Yeah, so it's there in the 13th index, there's an a. So if I start from 13, so if I start from 14, it will show me that in 15 there is another a. Now if I put 16, it will show me -1, indicating that there are no more a's in the string. Okay, so that's all about accessing strings, substrings in a string. And I did discuss how to access elements in the reverse order. Now, can I do something with this string? I said that strings are immutable, but it does not mean that it is really that I cannot do anything with the string. I can basically change the font, right? So I can maybe make it upper case, right? So it's all in uppercase. So it was initially in this particular format. Now it's all in uppercase. Or maybe I want to make it into a lowercase. So it's all lower. See, starting. So initially the string was Data Science Academy with D caps, but this time it's all lower. But what happens if I want to make it capitalize? Capitalize. Right. So what's happening here is, again, it's making so when I made it lower, so when I if you want to check, let's add one more. So if you just press plus, it will add another cell and mystr and then shift enter. So okay. So again, mystr is Data Science Academy with D caps. Okay. So when you do upper and lower, the output is basically a new string. It's not changing the initial string, which is basically mystr with D caps, right? When I did mystr dot lower, it's giving me the lowercase string. It's a new string, but it's not changing the initial mystr, right? Okay, so maybe I should change this here. Let's change it to DATA Science Academy. So okay, so it's all in a mixed upper and lowercase. So now if I do caps, you can see that so if let me print it out. So you can see it's all in mixed case, but when I do capitalize, it will make it into capital, right? So the first character will be caps. Now if I want to make it into a title, so you just do title. So what happens in a title? Title is basically after every white space, the word is capitalized, right? So that's basically your title. Okay, so you can do these things with strings, and you can swap case. So mystr dot swap case, shift enter. So so mystr was this. You can swap it. Basically, the capital will become small, small will become capital, and then it's just swapped it. And okay, so that's basically the things with font. Now if you want to do something else with strings, maybe you want to split the string into something called as a list. Okay, so so mystr dot split, this will basically, what it does is it will split, right? So as you can see here, Data Science Academy, there are white spaces here. So when I do this, it will split, at every instance of the space, the white space. Okay, or maybe you can specify where you want to split it. So okay, another thing, what's the output of mystr.split? So as you can see here, it's basically it has splitted the initial string into multiple substrings, and it's inside this square bracket. So this is a list. So I'll explain what's a list later on. So yeah, that's the output. It's a list here. So mystr.split. So I was going to say you can basically split at a particular character. For example, if you want to split at A, right? If you want to split at A, then shift enter. So what's happening here is that, so D, after that A, so it will split there, and then T, so T is here, and then after that there's a A, so it will split, and then what happens is there's a space and the whole thing science, and then there's a space AC, and then there's a A. So again, that's the that's where it cuts. So basically, wherever there's a small a, that's the space where Python will cut it. Okay, so if you don't put anything inside the split, it will do the splitting at wherever there's white space, right? Okay. Okay, so that's splitting, and well, you can split anywhere. I mean, you can split at any possible character that you can think about. So it need not be an alphabet. It can be, for example, if you had like this, right? And then mystr.split, and then at this this particular character, it will do that, right? So of course you can do a lot of splitting things, and you can also specify how many splits you want to do it, right? How many splits you want to do. For example, mystr.split, and for example, if you want to split at A, you want to do just one split, then you see just one splitting is happening. So if you just do 2, there are 2 things, and then 5, so correspondingly there will be that many splits. Of course there are only 4 splits possible because there are only that many instances of A, but you can put any number, but it can only split that many. So that's the output here. So this is something you can do with strings. And now another thing is that when you do the splitting, you get something called as a list. Now basically you can join this back. So let's do one thing. Let me write str list. So this is a list of basically, let me just copy this and then shift enter. If you want to see what is str list, it's basically this one. Now you can join this back into a string. So how do you do this? So you just do this dot join str list, shift enter. Now you can see here it's just joined it, right? D and then T and then science AZ and then DEMY. You can, because this is just an empty separator, right? I can even put anything inside this. So maybe star, and then do shift enter, then it will join with a star, right? So D, after that there's a star, and then the T, and then star, etc. Or maybe you want to put just a space and then join it back, so you can do this, or whatever you want to do. So you can do all sorts of things. it can be anything, so need not be this str list, can be any kind of list. So list of strings, of course. So a and then p and then shift enter. So we'll do the joining here. Okay, now I have already shown you how to reverse a string. So str, let's say data science. If you want to print this in the reverse manner, all you just need to do is str of -1 till whatever be the end, and then in the negative direction. So you have this being printed out in the negative, in the reverse order. But you can do this with another command called join. Of course, we have seen join, but you just do reversed string. So reversed, let's say str, right? If you do this, you will get the same thing. So what's happening here is that this reversed command basically reverses the string and then joins it back. Okay, so basically, of course, we have seen join, but this one, so maybe let's just copy this, paste it here, and if you run it, you will see this is a reversed object, right? So this is something, it's an object, it's a reversed string. So basically, if you want to see what's inside, it's again an iterable. So and of course we have not seen lists yet, but let me tell you, there is something called as list. And if you put this inside list and then just run it, you're going to get a list of the reverse string, right? So string was data science, now it's being reversed, ECNE, so ECNEI. So it's basically reversed and it's made into a list, okay? So that's what is happening here. Of course, I will explain lists later on. So it's basically converts, make it into a list, right? So it converts the string into a list. Okay, so that's one thing about strings. Another thing that I want to mention here is that strip. Okay, so you can strip lists. Oh no, you can strip strings. Okay, so let me explain. Str is equal to instead, let's rather than writing from here, let me just put a space and data, then science, and then and another space. Now if you want to remove the space, what will you do here? So what you can do is str.strip strip, right? So you can see the output is it has stripped the white spaces at the beginning and at the end. So well, you can specifically strip the right one if you want, or strip, or maybe you want to specifically strip the left one, so you will just put L here. So you can do either of that and you will get the result. Okay, so another thing about strings is that you can check whether a string is alpha, whether the string is made of alphabets, and the answer is false. So what is str? So let's just see. Str is this. Okay, it has alphabets, and so I must tell you, whatever is inside the code, everything includes that string, right? So that means even the white spaces are elements in that string. So because there are white spaces and alphabets, so when you check this str.isAlpha, so it's basically asking Python, is this alphabet? The answer is false. But if I had str to be equal to data science, and then if I check str.isAlpha and then true, so the answer is true because it's all made up of alphabets. Okay, so that's another thing about strings. Of course, you can also make strings with numbers inside it. It's a string again, but it's made with numbers. So again, you can check str is digit, right? It's digit. So the answer is true. So because this is all made of digits, so the answer is true. Okay, so that's another thing that you can test. And that's one thing about strings. Another thing about string is when you use the print command, when you want to print something, let's say hi, my name is Jack, how are you? Okay, something like this. If you wanna, you just do the shift enter and it prints out everything. Now there can be some cases where inside this quotation mark you can have further codes, right? For example, print. Maybe you want to print the or my friend told me this, and then you want to have a quotes inside the quotes and then said hi, how are you, right? Maybe you want to do this. So in this case, when you do shift enter, this is perfectly okay, right? But if I had put um, double quotes, then it's going to give me an error, because there was a double quote here, and then if I put a double quote here, then Python is interpreting this as the end of string. So all the remaining character is just, it's an unknown thing for it, right? It's no more inside quotes. So when you use double quote outside, inside maybe you can use a single quotes. That's one thing. Okay, then it will work just fine. Of course, you can have multiple quotes, single quotes. That's okay. I just need one. Okay, so it's the other way too. That is, if you have a single quote outside, then inside it should be a double quote, right? Okay, so this is also good. So that's one thing about printing. But if you want to print in a new line, let's say hi, how are you? And then if you want to print the next line in the new line, what you do is you just press this new line command, and then basically you just say hi, how are you? I'm fine. Okay, when you do this, you can see after how are you, there's this new line, and then I'm fine, right? So it prints in the new line. Okay. Another thing is, if you want to print, let's say, if you want to explicitly print this one, right? Um, it's nothing, right? Because for Python, this is basically new line. But if you want to print it out, you will put another slash, right? So basically, maybe you want to print this x divided by n. So if I didn't have a slash there, then it will just print x. But if you want to print x divided by n, then you just need to put one more slash, right? This is a case even with quotes. So hi, how are you? And then you want so let's say something, I am great. And you see I'm using a single quote here, but if you want the single quote to be there, then you just put a slash and then just print it out. So then Python will know that, okay, that's not the end of the string, right? That's another thing that you can do with print. And also another thing that I want to tell you about strings is that strings, you can add two strings. So str is how are you, and str1 is I am good. Okay. Okay, again, str, let's say 1, and this is 2, right? So str1 plus str2 will give me this combined string, right? If you want to, make it a little bit more beautiful, you just put a space there. So, and also you can, of course, you can multiply strings as well. String star 2, that means it will print 2 times, right? How are you, right? You can go any number of times. So you can, that means you can concatenate 2 strings. This is concatenation plus indicates concatenation, or you can, of course, this is also concatenation, but you're concatenating the same thing 4 times. Okay, this is something you can do with strings. I think I have only this much for strings. So in the next video, I'll go into lists and then into dictionary and tuples and etc. Okay, so that's all for this video, and I will see you next time.